we're going to start off really basic. First definition that you need to know is port and starboard and how that's defined. So, can anybody tell me what determines what tack you're on?
The wind.
Incorrect.
Where the sail booms are.
Where the boom.
That's correct. All right. So, to determine which tack you're on, you have to look at your boom. Your boom is on the port side. You are on starboard tack. And the opposite, it's on starboard. On the starboard side, you are on port tack. And that's the only determinant of which tack you're on. The next definition you need to know is windward, leeward. So, what determines whether you're, what determines the windward or leeward side of your boat?
The wind.
Incorrect.
That's a good answer.
Incorrect.
That's the way you said it.
And he's probably going to say the same thing again. And it's actually your boom again. Your boom determines whether you're on which side is windward and which is leeward. Because you can be sailing on a beam reach. When coming this way, and you can easily tell this is leeward, this is windward. But if you're sailing downwind, with the sail out, you can't always tell which side is windward or leeward by where the wind's coming from. So, if the sail is out, in this instance, on the port side, you're on what tack?
Starboard.
Starboard. And where is your leeward side?
Underneath the mainsail.
It's going to be over here, and the windward side is here. So those are some of the things you have to know to really understand the rules. The other thing you have to know is overlap. What determines an overlap? So an overlap between two boats is determined by the aftmost part of the leading boat. You draw a perpendicular line, and if another boat is in front of that line, any part of it, it's overlapped. And it's continued to be overlapped until it pulls forward and gets clear ahead. So boats are either overlapped or they're clear ahead or clear astern. One or the other. So that's, if you know those three definitions, you can really, figure out the rules. Now, it goes in this handout. If you start looking at overlapped boats, it shows a bunch of examples, and you can be overlapped no matter what tack you're on, and no matter how close you are to another boat. In other words, if you extend this line out from the stern, there can be a boat on an opposite tack, several hundred yards away that can be overlapped. So as the boats approach closer, this comes into play. But anyway, yeah.
And that's held true at the marks?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what's important.
Yes. Yes. And we'll get into that. And we're going to get into that. All right. So the basic rules that keep you out of trouble start in the beginning of this book with Rule 10. Boats on opposite tack. So if there's a boat on starboard tack, you have to avoid, a port tack boat has to avoid it. Okay? Now, that's pretty straightforward if you're going upwind. But what happens if you're going downwind? You got a boat on starboard, a boat on port. So the boat on port has to avoid the boat on starboard. Okay? All right, so the next rule, when boats are overlapped, the windward boat has to stay clear of the leeward boat, which again is pretty clear if you're going upwind. But if you're going downwind, in the case of this one, we can sail out that way. This is now the windward boat. This is the leeward boat. Because of the definition, the boom is over here. That's the leeward side. This is the windward side. This boat is to windward, even though it's not actually to windward of the boat to its left as it's sailing downwind. So you got to avoid, you know, the leeward boat. Okay, so.
So the boat to the right.
Pardon me?
So the boat to the right can do
The
whatever.
boat to the right
can do whatever it wants.
Or not, depends on how the overlap's established.
Yes. Yes. That's right.
Based upon your picture.
Huh?
Presuming that they started that way, let's say, then yes, the boat onto the.
Yes. Let's do two scenarios here. Let's say. This boat is overtaking the one on the left there. Okay? As you come downwind, this boat can actually alter course and keep the windward boat from going by. You can defend your position. Okay? But the rules have changed. There's a rule 14 that says you have to avoid contact, and that you cannot put yourself in position of right-of-way without giving the boat that doesn't have rights room and opportunity to keep clear. So if you're going to take a boat up like that, you know, to defend your position going downwind, you can't quick luff anymore. You used to be able to quick luff and really keep somebody on their toes. You can't do that. You got to say, "I'm coming up," and you know.
What about a false tack? Coming up as if you're going to tack, start, and then not complete the tack and fall back down. False tack.
Well, that would be going upwind, correct?
Yeah. Well,
you can do that if you've got
you can still fake the tack.
luffing rights. Yes. As long as you don't go past head to wind.
Yeah.
Because there's a rule that says,
yeah,
that while you're tacking, you can.
So if you're sailing by the lead, that doesn't make a difference. If you've done that.
While you're tacking, you have no rights while you're tacking, so you lose your rights.
Okay. So those are the definitions, and we'll start getting into the rules here. Let me move on. All right.
The other example would be the boat was passing to leeward, and then you can't go above his proper course. That's the other way.
Yeah, that's another rule. I think it's Rule 18, where you can't. What is it? Okay. Anyway, you.
So
all right.
To leeward.
Force the boat past the way line.
Let's go to page 14, and it has a kind of a flow chart that you can go through when you're approaching another boat. So, if you're approaching another boat, first thing you ask is one of the boats tacking. And if they are, the boat that's tacking has to keep clear of the boat that's approaching on a tack and sailing. Okay? The definition of a tack is, as a boat comes head to wind, it's luffing. Tacking is from head to wind until its sail fills on the new tack. All right. Before that, it's luffing. So it's only has to give rights to everybody else while tacking, from head to wind until it falls off onto a close haul course. So that's the first scenario that you'd ask. All right. The next thing you ask, if neither boat is tacking, are they on opposite tacks? All right. If they are, boat on starboard has the right of way. Okay. The next thing you ask, are are they, if they're not on opposite tacks, if they're on the same tack, are they overlapped? If they are, the leeward boat has the right of way, the windward boat has to keep clear. So this little flow chart gives you something to go by as you're going through. The next page shows that a boat, while tacking, has to keep clear of a boat that's not.
Yes, you can.
You have, no. So on the left, you have two boats that are not overlapped.
Correct.
And then to the right of that, you have two boats that are overlapped.
Correct.
So the leeward boat can't move upwind.
Again, it depends on how the tack.
That depends
was
on.
While they're overlapped.
Depends on
Yes,
how
he
it-
can. If the boat approaching on the windward side
Now I'm talking about
and develops the overlap from the windward side, then this boat can defend. Okay.
now to the right of that.
Now, what if this happens? Yes. What if this happens? You have a boat sailing downwind, two boats on the same tack. And it moves, develops an overlap from behind. Now they're overlapped. Then it cannot sail above its proper course while it's overlapped.
But that's the windward boat.
Because it's past.
That
No, that's the
it
leeward
becomes
boat.
it
That's the
becomes the
leeward
leeward boat, and this is the windward boat. This boat has to keep clear, but this boat cannot sail above its proper course. Now, proper course is the fastest course a boat can take to get to the next mark. So, if there are waves, a lot of times you'll head up as you start to catch a wave and then bear off as you catch it. So, the course may be kind of serpentine as you're going downwind. So you can alter your course to sail your proper course, but you cannot do what this boat did and defend and take this boat up.
Is that because he's passing them or why?
Because he's passing into
Establish
leeward.
Establish the overlap from.
So you establish the overlap from behind and then end up to leeward, side by side, and you cannot head above your proper course to defend this boat from coming by unless you get
Clear heading ahead.
clear of the other boat. You get your stern in front of his bow and are no longer overlapped. This rule also has a provision you have to be in 2 overall boat lengths to leeward. So the other way you could clear yourself is to sail further away and then come back. Sail more than 2 boat lengths away and then come back.
So if you're already not sailing in the mark, and you can still force somebody beyond the ley line, as long as you don't have if you're already sailing past the ley line and you have an overlap, you can continue on that course, even though it's not the shortest course to the mark, but you've already established that course, you can force that boat further off the ley line, right?
It wouldn't be your proper course at that point.
If you're already on that course, and you
Are you
went
talking
past
about
the ley
going
line,
upwind?
No.
the ley line, the line directed to the mark. If you're sailing off that course, you can continue to push that boat further.
Upwind or downwind?
Upwind.
Upwind.
You can continue to force that boat further away from the ley line, and then tack back and put it in, right?
If
You
you
can
go
still do
upwind,
that.
he's talking about going downwind.
I'm talking about
You're
going
talking
downwind.
Yeah, this is all downwind.
Upwind's a whole
Okay.
different
Yeah,
scenario, but yes,
But you could do the same thing
if
downwind.
you're, say the mark's here, the wind's
It's not your
there,
proper course. Your
you've
proper
got
course
2
is
boats
attack.
sailing here,
But if you
and,
want to sail past the ley line, you can
you're on port, and you've got to go up here, tack, and go around the mark. You can hold this boat,
With
keep it
overlap.
from tacking.
With overlap.
With an overlap, yes.
Yes.
Well, even if you don't have an overlap, you can. Nothing says you have to tack. You can because
Yeah.
you know, your proper course may be to, you know, sail up here and then broad reach into the mark. You know,
You'd
so,
have a, you'd
so
have a
upwind.
pretty tough time
So then
defending that.
you can still continue to force
not
somebody
good.
further beyond the ley line. And then
Well,
check over.
they've always, you know, what keeps them from tacking is they can't tack. They can't tack without fouling this boat. Now, if they can tack and get on starboard tack before this boat has to start making avoidance maneuvers, then the port tack boat has to avoid it.
You've already established a direction. You can continue that direction beyond the ley line.
You cannot, because it's not your proper course. Your proper course is not to go into a broad reach after being close hauled. That's not your proper course.
But I mean,
You would have a nearly impossible
beyond the ley line
time
by just
defending
continuing
that.
beyond the ley line.
If you're in match racing rules, if you read the match racing rules, yeah, you can do whatever you want, because there is no proper
Well,
course.
even that, you know, you can carry somebody beyond the ley line.
At some point, that guy's going to
Well, you
ask you to
want to
tack,
do it.
and you're going to have a hard time.
Well, sometimes, like in a series where it may come down to just two people, you know, are either going to win or lose. You know, even though there's a whole fleet sailing, you know, they've got a low enough score with between two boats. One will match race the other.
Or if they're one design boat, say.
Yeah, and you can go beyond the ley line. Most times they don't end up going very far past the ley line.
I think you're allowed to go past it because you want to make sure you're laying it. You can have all kinds of
Right?
excuses like
Yeah,
that.
there can be
But
current.
you
There
can't
can
have,
be. You
I'm
can
gonna go half a
anticipate
mile
further
past
wind
it,
shifts. I mean, there's
right,
all
you can
kinds.
have all kinds of stuff, but to go like
right.
a half a mile past the ley
So,
line just because
yeah,
you want
that
to get
would-
the guy out there, you'd have a hard
So
time.
you can't do that.
Yeah.
You'd have a hard
Force them
time
to go
saying that.
behind you.
Well, I don't agree with that.
Well,
No, I would think
the
you could-
rule
you
about
could force them as
sailing
far as you
above,
want.
I mean,
proper
above your
course.
proper course only applies to off the wind. It's only for, if you read the rules, it's only for off the wind. It's not for upwind.
Also, downwind, you can't use that. You can't force them beyond the ley line.
No.
Oh.
No. In fact, if you have to
Well, he'd
jibe,
jibe behind you anyway, so it wouldn't make any difference.
if you have to jibe at a mark, you have to jibe, you know, at the mark.